not randomly, not out of nowhere, with a reason that the research maps out in precise, repeatable detail. And the reason is almost certainly not what you think it is. Most people who get bitten by their cat walk away with the same conclusion. The cat is moody, the cat is aggressive, the cat just does not like being touched. That conclusion feels logical because the bite came fast, came without warning, and often came right in the middle of what seemed like a perfectly calm moment. You were petting them, they were purring, and then your hand was in their mouth. What the research shows is that the bite was not the beginning of anything, it was the end of a conversation your cat had been trying to have with you for several minutes before that moment arrived. And the reason it felt sudden is that we were taught to watch the wrong thing. The first thing you missed was not the bite, it was everything before it. Dr. Kristen Vitale at Unity College has studied feline social cognition for years, with a specific focus on how cats communicate preference and discomfort to the humans they live with. Her research, published across multiple peer-reviewed journals, identifies a consistent pattern in what she calls the pre-bite sequence. Cats do not escalate immediately, they de-escalate first. They try softer signals, they try several of them, and then when those signals go unanswered, they use the one that cannot be missed. The softer signals are the ones you walked past: a tail that starts to twitch at the base, a skin ripple along the back, ears that rotate slightly backward, a subtle shift in body weight away from your hand. These are not random fidgets. A 2019 study out of the University of Lincoln, led by behavioral researcher Dr. Daniel Mills, tracked the physical micro-expressions of domestic cats in petting interactions across 120 separate sessions. In every case where a bite occurred, at least 3 of those signals had appeared in the preceding 90 seconds. 3 signals, 90 seconds, every single time. You did not miss them because you were not paying attention. You missed them because nobody told you they were a language. That is the entire problem, not your cat, the gap in what you were taught to look for. The second thing most people get wrong about cat biting is the role that overstimulation plays. There is a popular idea that cats simply have a tolerance threshold, that they enjoy petting up to a certain point and then flip a switch. That description feels the bite arbitrary, unpredictable, like something happening in the dark with no visible cause. The actual mechanism is more specific. Research from the Anthrozoology Research Group at the University of Exeter, led by Dr. Sarah Ellis in 2015, examined the neurological response of domestic cats to prolonged tactile contact. What they found was that repeated stroking in the same area activates sensory receptors that transition from pleasant stimulation to genuine physical discomfort over a predictable time window. The cat is not changing their mind about you, their skin is sending a different signal to their nervous system. And at a certain point, the most efficient way to stop that sensation is to make your hand stop. The bite is not aggression, it is a pain response. Here is where it becomes harder to hear. The areas you most want to pet are often the areas your cat tolerates least: the belly, the base of the tail, the lower back. These are regions with the highest concentration of those sensory receptors. A 2021 study published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science found that cats petted exclusively in owner-preferred zones showed biting behavior at a rate nearly 3 times higher than cats whose owners had learned to follow feline-preferred contact zones, specifically the cheeks, the forehead, and the area under the chin. 3 times higher from petting the wrong spot. If your cat bites you most often during belly rubs, that is not a personality quirk. That is a neurological ceiling you did not know existed, and it was there every single time. Now, here's what the research found that almost no pet content ever mentions. Your cat's bite threshold changes based on your emotional state, not metaphorically, measurably. A landmark study from 2019 conducted by researchers at the University of Vienna, published in the journal PLAS ONE, examined cortisol synchronization between domestic cats and their primary owners across several months of cohabitation. The finding was unambiguous. Cats living with chronically stressed owners showed elevated cortisol baselines of their own. The owner's stress was predicting the cat's physiological arousal, not the reverse. The direction of influence ran from human to animal. A cat that starts an interaction already carrying elevated stress does not begin from neutral, they begin from a deficit. Their tolerance window is already compressed before you reach your hand. The pet that triggers a bite on a difficult Tuesday might not have triggered anything on a calm Sunday. Same cat, same hand, same duration, different internal state. And that internal state was shaped in part by yours. You did not make your cat aggressive, but your nervous system has been in conversation with theirs every single day without either of you knowing it. If this is changing how you see what has been happening between you and your cat, stay with that. Subscribe to this channel. Every video is built on the same research-first approach you are watching right now. We publish every week. The third place people go wrong is the response that follows the bite. The instinct is to react, to pull the hand back sharply, to make a sound, to show frustration. And that reaction, according to research by Dr. John Bradshaw at the University of Bristol's Anthrozoology Institute, is precisely what reinforces the behavior over time, not weakens it, reinforces it. Bradshaw's work, compiled across decades of observational and behavioral research, describes what he calls the reinforcement loop of reactive withdrawal. When a cat bites and the human reacts dramatically, the interaction ends immediately. From the cat's perspective, the bite worked. The discomfort stopped. The hand went away. The sensation ceased. The cat did not learn that biting was wrong. The cat learned that biting was efficient. The bite gets filed as the fastest available solution. Over enough repetitions, cats do not just keep biting as a final option, they begin to default to it earlier in the sequence, before softer signals are even attempted. The pre-bite wanting window shrinks. What used to be 90 seconds of microexpressions collapses to 20 seconds, and then to almost none. The cat that seems to bite without warning almost certainly started with plenty of it. The warning just stopped being necessary once the shortcut was learned. The fourth thing the research identifies is the specific petting style that produces the lowest bite risk, and it runs almost entirely opposite to how most people naturally pet their cats. Most petting is long, continuous, slow strokes from the head down toward the tail. It feels soothing to the human. It covers the most surface area. It looks like the petting that cats always appear to melt into. A 2017 study from researchers at the University of Edinburgh's Royal School of Veterinary Studies found that this style of contact produced the highest physiological arousal in domestic cats, measured through heart rate and skin conductance response. Continuous long strokes are activating, not calming. The thing that feels like love to you is registering as overstimulation for them. The petting style associated with the lowest arousal and the lowest rate of biting was short, intermittent contact concentrated around the facial gland areas, the cheeks and the forehead, with deliberate pauses built between each contact. Pauses that gave the cat the ability to lean into the contact or to move away from it, the cat maintaining some degree of agency over how the interaction continued. The cat that can choose to stay is a cat that does not need to bite to leave. The fifth thing the research reveals is about the moment right before your cat comes to you, not when you approach them, when they approach you. That solicitation behavior, the cat walking toward you, rubbing against your leg, landing uninvited in your lap, is consistently read as a green light for full petting. Research from Dr. Vitali's lab shows that social solicitation in cats is frequently a request for proximity rather than for touch. The cat wants to be near you. That is not the same as wanting your hands on them. The cat that comes to sit beside you and then bites you several minutes later was not being deceptive. They were asking for company, and somewhere in those minutes, company became something else, something they never agreed to. There is one more distinction the research draws. Not all cat biting is the same type of biting. Behavioral scientists separate what they call redirected aggression from petting-induced biting, and the difference matters because the trigger is entirely different. Redirected aggression occurs when a cat sees something through a window, hears a sound outside, or senses another animal nearby, and then turns and bites the nearest target, which is often the human sitting calmly beside them. A 2016 review of feline aggression cases published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior, led by Dr. Gary Landsberg at the North Toronto Animal Clinic, found that redirected aggression was among the most commonly misdiagnosed presentations in domestic cats, with owners repeatedly attributing it to mood or personality when the actual trigger had disappeared minutes earlier. If your cat bites you at random with no petting involved, the trigger was almost certainly not random. Something your cat saw, heard, or smelled shifted their arousal state, and the nearest thing that moved was you. The cats that bit you were never trying to hurt you, they were trying to finish a sentence. The same sentence, offered again and again in the only language they had. A twitch of the tail, a rotation of the ear, a ripple under the skin, and every time it got cut off just before the period. They are still speaking. The only thing that ever needed to change was whether you were listening.